Before Island News Midday.
Coming up at noon, Kealoha's in court. Katherine Kealoha makes her courtroom plea to federal bank fraud charges. We'll have the latest. Plus, more arrests in Kailua, the latest on the protests against the construction of wind farms in Kahuku. Mahalo for tuning in to KITV4's Island News Midday on this Tuesday, October 22nd. I'm Lindsey Fukano. Breaking news this midday, former Honolulu Deputy Prosecutor Katherine Kealoha pleads guilty to identity theft, bank fraud, and concealing a drug trafficking investigation. Both Katherine and her estranged husband, Louis Kealoha, are in federal court right now. And just moments ago, Katherine spoke directly to the judge, admitting she defrauded banks and stole $164,000 from trust funds that she set up for two children she had guardianship over. Now, she also admitted to creating the alias Allison Lee Wong to commit financial crimes. In a third case, Kealoha told the judge she intentionally concealed information about a drug trafficking investigation that involved her brother. The judge accepted her guilty plea, and she will now face decades behind bars and will have to pay restitution to the family members that she stole from. Louis Kealoha is also expected to plead guilty to bank fraud charges, and the judge will hear from him at 2:30 this afternoon. And we do have a crew in the courtroom, and we'll bring you the latest updates on air and online as they come in. Well, police are still looking for a suspect or suspects in a shooting at the Times supermarket on Beretania. Emergency Medical Services says a 44-year-old man is in serious condition after getting shot in the parking lot there. Police say the victim tried to drive himself to the Chinatown substation, and paramedics say he was later found at the intersection of Hotel and Smith Streets. Around 9:50 last night, he was taken to the hospital, and the suspect or suspects are still on the loose. 3 more people were arrested last night in Kailua over the construction of wind farms, but have since posted bail. And they were all protesting the planned construction of the Napua Makani farm in Kahuku. And Sunday night, 40 others were arrested in both Kailua and the North Shore. And opponents say the turbines, well, they are too big and too close to school and also residents' homes. Protesters also worry about health effects and the impact on the environment. Developer AES released this statement saying, "We are working closely with the Honolulu Police Department regarding an act of vandalism that occurred on the project site over the weekend. The incident, while troubling, will not impact the ongoing work to transport and construct the Napua Makani wind project." Of course, stay with KITV4 on air and online for continuing coverage of the wind farm protests. And you could also download our free mobile app to get the very latest updates. Let's turn now to our local weather. Here's a live look at Hilo Bay right now from our Hilo Hawaiian Hotel camera. Our Tasia Worley's in with a look at today's forecast. Hey, Tasia.
Hey, Lindsay. Cloud coverage for the windward areas due to that trade wind pattern for today. High pressure system delivering those winds. No obstructions there, continuing to give us that pattern for the next few days. This frontal boundary could ease up our winds just a bit by late Thursday into Friday, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Trade winds are pretty breezy, some from the east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Maui County a bit breezier, up to 25. That small craft advisory in place. As you can see within the highlighted areas from Oahu through Hawaii Island, wind speeds up to 25 knots and seas 5 to 8 feet. Trade showers for windward areas will be enhanced just a bit later on this evening. Again, for windward and Mauka spots, most of the moisture is for the Hilo side. We've also got our temperatures feeling like 92 in Honolulu, 91 for Kaunakakai, 93 for Kahului, but we do have that humidity level just down a bit compared to yesterday, and that's going to continue to be quite stable for the next couple of days as well. Partly sunny for today to mostly sunny skies for the leeward side. More trade showers for the windward and Mauka spots later this evening. Later tonight, your average lows will be around 78 degrees. Sunset at 6:02. We also have some box jellyfish moving on in. I'll have your surf forecast coming up next. Lindsay, to you.
Tasia, thank you. Happening today, a discussion about a land swap for rail before final approval. City Council member Heidi Tsuneyoshi has introduced a resolution asking the U.S. Department of Interior to postpone taking action on a state and city land swap. It involves Department of Hawaiian Homeland's land and the Waipahu parcel where the Honolulu Rail Project's maintenance and storage facility is located. But the problem, though, the construction for that facility started before that land swap was finalized.
We need to really work on behalf of the people to make sure that we're protecting the processes and make sure that they feel that they've been fully represented.
And the other resolution asks the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation to keep the council in the loop regarding its proposed public-private partnership. The council's Committee on Executive and Legal Affairs will take up both resolutions today. Well, after being shut down last year due to the Kilauea eruption, Puna Geothermal Ventures started drilling a new well on the Big Island Saturday. KITV4 was told that this geothermal production well was initially planned before the eruption started. The company expects to bring it online early next year.
Our number one priority, of course, is safety for all of our employees, which translates to and results in safety for our nearby residents and our community.
Last year, lava covered 5 wells. PGV is still in the recovery phase. Before the eruption, the plant was producing more than 30% of all energy to the Hawaii Electric Light Company grid, and it hopes to get back to producing 38 megawatts of power per its contract in 2020. Now over to the nation's capital, President Trump taking his criticism of the impeachment inquiry to another level, sparking outrage by equating the process to a lynching. This as his top diplomat to Ukraine sat down with House investigators that were leading the impeachment probe. Mona Kosar Abdi is now in Washington with the very latest.
The president's top allies on Capitol Hill today on the defensive.
When it's about Trump, who cares about the process as long as you get him? So, yeah, this is a lynching in every sense.
Republican lawmakers like Senator Lindsey Graham justifying the president's use of the incendiary term in his tweet, a word that many say elicited racial violence and brutality committed in the U.S. Trump writing of the impeachment probe, quote, "All Republicans must remember what they are witnessing here, a lynching, but we will win." Democrats were quick to point out his continued pattern of divisive language.
I represent the 6th Congressional District of South Carolina, and I know the historical context of that term.
But they also claimed the president was purposefully trying to distract from the testimony of a key witness in the impeachment inquiry. U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Bill Taylor testified for hours before House investigators about his involvement in the Ukraine scandal.
In my 10 short months in Congress, it's not even noon, right? And this is my most disturbing day in Congress so far.
Democrats pressing Taylor on his now public text exchange with the European Union Ambassador Gordon Sondland, in which Taylor wrote, quote, "I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for help with a political campaign." Ahead of Taylor's deposition, the president distanced himself from both men.
They're interviewing ambassadors who I'd never heard of. I don't know who these people are. I never heard of them.
President Trump just yesterday called on Republicans to form a united front, but just moments ago, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, in a rare move, broke from Trump, saying, quote, "Given the history in our country, I would not describe this process as a lynching, but rather an unfair process." Mona Kosar Abdi, ABC News, Washington.
More national news. Lori Loughlin and her designer husband and 9 other parents are now facing additional charges today in the college admissions scandal. And those new charges come from a grand jury in Massachusetts. They're in addition to the conspiracy charges the parents are already facing. The grand jury alleges that the 11 parents conspired to commit federal program bribery. That charge carries a penalty up to 10 years in prison. In addition to the conspiracy account, one defendant, John Wilson, is charged with using bribes to get his children into Harvard and Stanford. Federal program bribery charges are in play because all of the institutions involved are receiving federal assistance. Still to come, how far will $1 million get you in the Hawaii housing market? Apparently not very far. How Hawaii ranks when it comes to money and the size of homes. And the largest bank in the nation wants to hire more people with criminal backgrounds. We'll explain coming up on KITV4.
KITV4 Island News Midday.
Welcome back. Fall sports season is in full swing, encouraging teamwork in kids, but also increasing your child's risk of a concussion. And you can take the right steps ahead of time to combat concussions and maximize your child's recovery.
KITV4 Island News Medical Minute, sponsored by Ekahi Wellness.
The crowd is cheering and spirits are high, but a healthy sports game can turn dangerous when a tough collision leaves a child with a concussion. According to the CDC, concussions are a type of traumatic brain injury following a bump or a blow to the head or body. Symptoms show up soon after the injury and include confusion, dizziness, headaches, nausea, and mood changes. Some people get concussions and don't even realize it. In tough cases, though, symptoms can cause long-term effects on children's thinking and memory, especially if improperly treated. Before the season begins, each child should take a concussion test, which measures baseline memory, balance, and reflexes. If a child gets injured, he or she should be removed from playing and avoid intense physical and academic activity until the score on the test returns to normal. It's essential to be extra cautious and give children enough time to recover to prevent them from getting another head injury with potentially longer-lasting damage. To minimize children's risk of concussion, make sure their coaches support a safe sports culture and that every child uses proper gear, especially a helmet that fits properly. With this Medical Minute, I'm Karina Mitchell.
Island News Midday's Money Matters, brought to you by Hamada Financial Group.
Well, we know we have to pay a lot when it comes to living in paradise, but what exactly do you get when you have $1 million to spend on a home in Hawaii? Not much in terms of home size, because according to a Zillow analysis, Hawaii has the 5th smallest typical $1 million home at 1,700 square feet and 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The national average is 2,200 square feet with 4 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms. CompareCards.com found that about 7 in 10 Americans have shed tears about their finances. Debt is most likely to trigger emotional upset, and that comes as consumer debt hit a record $4 trillion earlier this year. But the good news is you can reduce your financial stress by taking small steps to address your problems. The largest bank in the nation wants to hire more people who have criminal backgrounds. JP Morgan's CEO made the announcement in a statement released today. He says it's a way to level the playing field and broaden its pool of potential employees. And the statement read, in part, when someone cannot get their foot in the door to compete for a job, it is bad for business and bad for communities that need access to economic opportunity. JP Morgan has now banned the box that asks prospective employees whether they have a criminal record. And the firm is already hiring some people with a conviction on their record for entry-level jobs, this like transaction processing and account servicing. But the company says it is not lowering its hiring standards. Meanwhile, Optimus Prime and Fluttershy are helping drag Hasbro down. The toy giant's shares plummeted 15% after it posted disappointing sales and earnings figures today. Hasbro blames tariffs for missing sales forecasts, and the company says it's costing more to ship products, and they are already sitting in warehouses longer as retailers shift the timing of orders due to tariff fears. Demand for core brands like Nerf, Mr. Potato Head, and Play-Doh is relatively flat, but Disney is a massive bright spot for Hasbro. Toys tied to upcoming films Frozen 2 and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker boosted the sales in the company's partner that branded toy segments by a whopping 40%. And until today's dismal report, Hasbro's stock was up nearly 50% for the entire year. And we'll stay on Wall Street because we're going to check in on how stocks did today. U.S. markets retreating modestly today, driven by lowering of disappointing earnings. So as we just mentioned in that toy report, that's going across all indexes. And you can see here the Dow did close down by over 39 points, down by 0.15%. Well, take a look at what is coming up on KITV4 because a cell phone case feels like a human skin, and a parade floods a city streets with zombies. We'll show you where this is taking place up next.
Need extra dough for the holidays? For a limited time, Pearl Hawaii Federal.
Wild weather continues across the U.S. today as millions of Americans remain under wind warnings and advisories. Strong storms are bringing rain to the Midwest and Northeast. But over in California, nearly 23 million people are facing fire dangers. Nadia Ramiro explains.
A chopper dousing water over wildfires in California is a normal
100 days since construction was slated to start for the controversial 30-meter telescope atop Mauna Kea. And we've been following the tension over TMT since day one. KITV4's Eliza Larson is on Hawaii Island with a preview of what we can expect.
From days that are cold and rainy like this to days that are hot and steamy, opponents of the 30-meter telescope project have experienced it all for 100 days. Tonight on KITV4 Island News, we'll hear from them what worked, what didn't work, what they're doing going forward, and we'll also hear from people on the other side, supporters of the 30-meter telescope project, as well as police officers, the mayor, and others involved.
And again, we'll have a live report from Mauna Kea tonight at 5 and 6, so be sure to tune in and follow our coverage online, on air, and across social media. And don't forget to download our free KITV4 mobile app for the very latest updates. Well, cell phone cases are designed to set your phone apart from the rest, but a new prototype is designed to feel like a human.
Jeremy Roth has more on the phone protector that's meant to feel like human skin.
Today we're going to talk about this newly developed phone case prototype that's designed to feel like human skin. But I just have to do something real quick. Ew. Okie dokie, now that that's done. The Peculiar Project is a team effort by researchers from France and England. It uses silicone to mimic the feel of skin and sensors to feel your touch. It can detect and differentiate between tickling, pinching, and caressing, and the skin even sends signals to the phone which can respond with emojis. The developers say the device aims to explore the intersection between man and machine. It's only a project at this stage and doesn't appear to be for sale yet. In significantly less unsettling news, 11,000 zombies were spotted on the streets of Key West, Florida. That's right, move over, Walking Dead, make way for the Biking Dead. Zombies on wheels rolled through Key West for the Fantasy Fest Zombie Bike Ride. Skeletons, evil clowns, undead brides, and a variety of other figures roamed through the city's streets, and organizers say roughly 11,000 people participated in the eerie event. It's part of a 10-day annual festival and culminated with a zombie street party. I mean, I don't know what to fear more, flesh-eating zombies or flesh-reading cell phones. But take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
I think I saw a Polynesian zombie duo there.
That's right.
People are so creative.
Very, very much so. That skin case, disgusting. We'll check back in on weather before we go.
That's right. Weather's looking better than that phone case. We've got